Oh, okay, so this is a big one. I have a large glass of wine in my hands right now because I want to turn this into more of a story time rather than an education session. I haven't even had my wine yet. So, as you all probably know, I am a very big fan of passive income. So, there are many ways in which you can generate passive income. The one I want to focus on today is rental properties. So that is the main way people tell you that you can have passive income. They're like, oh, buy a house, rent it out, you'll get so much income. Well, as a young woman, I want to say, how old am I in this story? I am 22. I've turned 22 and I bought my first property. I bought a 3-bedroom flat, which at the time I'm like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. It's fine. I'm gonna move in with my best friend, Alistair, and yes, that's his real name. And we'll rent out the third room. We'll get them to pay the mortgage for us. We'll live like kings, the usual. So, this is a story time as to, let's just call it passive income gone wrong. So, throughout the time that I rented this property, I had 3 tenants living in it. And they were nightmare tenants. Like, I'm going to go through all this right now, and some of the stuff you're going to be like, wait, what? So, 3 tenants. 2 of them have fake names. One of them I'm going to use their real name, and you'll know why. So, I'm going to start at the beginning. About a month after we moved in, I was like, right, I'm going to rent out the other room. And Alistair was just like, all right, whatever. And then I went on Gumtree and I found a girl, which is the British equivalent of Craigslist. And I found a girl and I said to Alistair, I was like, oh, I found a lovely girl in Gumtree. And he's just like, are you kidding? Like, you can't have someone move in with us from Gumtree. And I'm like, oh no, but it's fine. She's coming to view the place. So she came to view the place with her mom. And her mom was pretty much like, yeah, she'll take it. She'll take it. Like, she's moving in with you. She'll take it. And I was a bit like, I mean, this lady can't want rid of her daughter that much. Like, she's just doing it in a protective mum way. Okay, whatever. So I'm going to call her Emma. And I've written this down just so I remember to actually call her Emma instead of her real name. So Emma moved in. And I think she was only with us for about 3 months, 2.5 months, something like that. Like, it wasn't a lot, but it was weird. So Emma moved in just after Christmas. I think it was sometime between Christmas and New Year, possibly, or maybe, yeah, it would have been between Christmas and New Year, because I remember it's when she moved in, we had like a night out, and it wasn't New Year, but it was after Christmas. So she moved in and I was instantly just like, oh, we'll be best friends. She was a few years younger than me, so I was just like, yeah, sure. And back at this time, this was me and Alistair in our single, no responsibilities kind of phase. So we'd be like, it's Friday. That's it. Okay, Friday. Okay, it's Thursday. Let's get a big crate of beer and watch movies till 2, 3 a.m. because we can. So we'd do that, and Emma, sorry, I almost said her name there. Emma would sit with us and we'd be like, okay, cool. And then I'd be like, okay, this is a bit awkward and weird. I'm going to bed. So I'd go to bed and I'd hear them, because at the time, like this is how bad the place was. Like, my bedroom door didn't shut. I had like a glass bedroom door and it was like warped and wouldn't close. So I'd be lying in bed, my door open, and I'd just hear them like chatting till like 4 a.m. or something. I'd be like, all right, okay, whatever. So he got on with her really well. Like, those guys would chat. I would try and chat, but she'd always be a bit like, no, with me. And I was a bit like, all right, cool, my house, but whatever. So she behaved herself most of the time. It was mainly about the last month she was there that really like got to me. So the whole time she was there, she was being really weird. Like, or not really weird, but I came home from work early on Fridays, so I'd get home about 2. I'd come in and I'd go into my room and I'd hear her like wrapping things in her room. Like I'd hear a bunch of like sellotape and stuff and all that kind of things, like she was wrapping stuff. And then every Friday she'd go to the post office and then come back, and I'd be like, but I wasn't close enough with her to be like, hey, like, girl, what are you doing? Like, that's really weird. Why'd you spend like an hour and a half wrapping stuff and then go to the post office every Friday? Like, that's what? Because she just worked at a shop in town, so it wasn't like she ran like a craft business or anything. It was just a bit odd. So yeah, there was that, and which I will get into later. And then there was a few other things that I just thought were weird. So, for example, the day she moved in, she took some hair care products, put them in the shower, because, you know, that's the normal thing you do. And this was like 2 months later, and I'm saying to Alistair, I'm like, Alistair, I think Emma must be using my shampoo, because she put a bottle of Head and Shoulders in the shower the day she moved in and it still hasn't been opened. And that's all she's got in there. So I think I did like drunkenly say to her one day, I was like, are you using my shampoo? She's like, no, of course not, don't be stupid. And I'm like, I really hope you are, because if you're not using any. So I don't know if she did at any point. I don't know. But no, so I need to just take a sip of my wine for this next bit, because it gets to me. It gets me. Oh, so, this must be a month before she moved out. So this was at the point. So I was sitting on the sofa one day and she walks past me and she just says to me, oh, by the way, just to let you know, I lost my job 3 weeks ago, so I can't pay rent this month. And I'm like, okay, like our bedroom walls are literally attached and you lost your job 3 months ago, three weeks ago even, and you're telling me now, like the day rent is due, like, what? So I was a bit like, okay, well, by this point, like, me and her really weren't friendly. She'd paid little to no attention to me, and like, that sounds bad, but you know, like, she'd just not taken me on and was being very kind of cold with me. So I pretty much was just like, okay, well, that's fine, Emma, but if you can't pay rent, you can't live here. So she was on the phone to her mom, stuff like that, and was like, okay, yeah, I'll move out. And I was like, okay, cool, you'll move out, good, bye. Because by this point I knew, like, we were not going to be friends. Like, Alistair was the one staying up late with her at night, he was the one talking to her, but I was getting nowhere with her, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to live with someone awkwardly in my house, and if you're not going to pay for your room, then bye. Like, I don't want that to sound bad, but it just, no. So, this was when things started to get a bit weird, because I was kind of like, okay, well, you have a month to just, like, find somewhere new, and also pay last month's rent. So I think she paid it, like, weekly. She was like, okay, well, I'll pay a bit this week, a bit next week, whatever. She paid it all. I don't really know. I can't remember, this was years ago. But I do remember this next bit very fondly. So she knew not to mess with me. So she'd mess with Alistair instead, because she thought she could get away with it, which is the worst thing ever. So, for example, this is when me and my fiance Nick were still staying at each other's places. We didn't quite have like a specific place we would stay together. So I'd go over to his quite a lot. So one weekend I was like, right, going to Nick's, see you later, bye. I come back on the Sunday and Alistair's sitting there with the biggest face on, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And he's like, right, Jill, sit down. We need to talk. And I'm like, oh, okay. What's going on? And he's like, it's Emma. And I'm like, oh no, what's she done? And he's like, oh no, like, it's Emma. She came charging into the flat at, I think he said it was something stupid like 4:30 a.m. the other night, but she had 2 guys with her. 2 guys who she'd clearly never met before in her life, and she stormed right into his room, decided to climb into his bed, fall asleep, and let these 2 strangers just cruise about the flat. So he's just like, excuse me, because of course this girl's just climbed into bed with him, and he's like, wait, what? Like, what? So he's up, like, what is going on? Goes through the flat and is just just finds these guys just in the living room, and he's like, hey, what you doing? And they're like, oh, it's fine, we're here with Emma. And he's like, no, Emma's in bed, you must leave. And they're like, no, it's fine. So they're in the garden, they're in and out, because we've got like a back door in the kitchen, so they're like in and out through that door, they're all over the place and stuff. And he's just like, Emma, get up. Like, you can't just leave people in the flat. Get up. Just, no, it's fine. So I think by this point, he like dragged her out of bed or something and was just like, get into your own bed. Like, if those guys are in your room, that's fine. I don't care. Just, you can't just invite strangers into the house that none of us know and then go to bed. So, I mean, I personally was not there for this altercation, but I just saw the complete rage in Alistair after it was over, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, what? Who would have known? This Gumtree girl was crazy. So I honestly feel like I could talk about this girl for ages. So what really pushed me to the edge? So at this point, I'm like, right, okay, you're leaving. I need to get someone to rent out your room. So I said to her, I was like, right, tidy up your room because I need to do viewings in it. Like, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I'm doing viewings. So clean your room. So she did. It was clean enough. It was reasonable. And then we were like, okay, we've got a viewing booked, so I'm going to go and just check her room's all sorted. And I was looking around. I was like, yeah, it's all good. Like, Alistair and I had this joke that the whole time she'd been there, like, she'd had the same bed sheets on and she must just, like, clean her bed sheets and put them right back on her bed and, like put them back in her bed wet or something, because they've been the exact same bed sheets, because they were, like, bright purple swirly ones, something like that, so it's very distinctive. I went into her room and I can't remember what I saw. Like, there was something on her bed, like a towel or something, so I was like, I'm just going to put it under the duvet just so the people who are viewing the room can't see it. Lifted up the side of her duvet and like I'm not even joking, she had never changed the bed sheets the entire time she was there. Like, it was so disgustingly filthy. Like, you know, when you can see dirt, like physical lumps of dirt and like floor dust, like so as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, no, it's not that she's stealing my shampoo, she's just obviously not washing her hair either. So I was like, no. But this is still not the worst bit. We're not even gonna get to the worst bit. So after all this, I saw that and I took Alistair and I was like, Alistair, come see this! Because, you know, why not? Best friends. We have to. He came running in and he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm gonna show you the bed sheets. He's like, have these bed sheets, like, have you got it confirmed? Have they not been changed? I was like, well, look at this. Flicked the bottom corner off. Like, it wasn't like I was pulling her whole bed sheet off. I was pulling maybe like this bit off the bottom and like just a little bit off the bottom, and he was just like, oh my god, no, I have to leave, otherwise I'm gonna clean them for her and that'll just be embarrassing. So we were both like, no, okay, just hide it, the next person will come and view it and not see that. God, yes. Okay, so oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just like, I know what's coming, so I'm just getting like panicky about it. But there was this one day, it was maybe about a week before she moved out, and let's just say I'm glad we have granite walls in this flat, because otherwise I'd have torn one down specifically to throw at her. So there was this day she came stomping in at maybe about 4 or 5 a.m. and I was in bed and my room's right at the front door, so I hear everyone that comes in and out, and I was just like, whatever, cool. And so she comes in with this guy. Again, she was a big fan of strangers. She was like, I don't know you, come back to the flat. So she brought this guy back and they're in her room and they go to bed. And I was like, oh, thank goodness for that. Great. Back to sleep. So me being me, 7 a.m. Saturday, I'm awake. Yay! And I'm going about the flat and I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was honestly just sitting watching TV or something. But she had her bedroom door wide open, which I was a bit like, okay, that's who sleeps with their door wide open? Like, if you're in a flat with 3 other people, that's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't know. So I was just like, whatever. And I'm sitting there and then I just hear this alarm noise going off. Just like, you know, the standard alarm, like beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, cool. And this went on for about 10 minutes and I'm just like, excuse me, like, would you turn that off? Like, I'm awake. It's not really so much waking me up so much as just really annoying me. So this went off, and then it silenced, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, that was about 10 minutes later. And then about 10 minutes after that, it started up again. And it did this for about an hour. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not even waking up to press the snooze button. You're just letting it ring out. And there's someone else there with you, and you're just both letting it ring out. So by this point, I was just like, right, I'm done with this. Like, who do you think you are? So storm into the hall, into her room. I'm like, would you put that bloody alarm off? And I think I just got a mumble back. Like, I don't even know. Like, they were obviously so hungover that they didn't even notice it. And I was like, all right, whatever. So this goes on a few more times. So I storm back into the room again, which is fine because the door's wide open. Like, it's not like the door's closed and I'm bored banging into the room, like turning things off, opening doors, stuff like that. I came in, and I think by that point I just grabbed it and was like, right, stop. Threw it down and was just like, right, you guys need to get up. And I'm sure there were some swear words in there at some point because I was just like, no. So back to the living room I go, and then it happened. Right, where's my wine? I need more wine. So then it happened. And at this point, bear in mind, she's still not cleaned her bed in like 3 months. It's disgusting. So how this happened, I don't know. But you know when you just hear a noise and you know exactly what it is? And you're like, oh, okay. So her and her new buddy decided now would be the perfect time to, how do I say this politely? To have very loud sex with the door wide open. So, I think by this point I was hoovering just to annoy them. Like, you know, I'm kind of like, oh, the doors are open so I can do what I want. Like, it's like 11 a.m. by this point, so I'm just going around the house hoovering. So she decides to do this. So me being me was like, right, I'm going to up the intensity of the hoover just to make it louder. So she decided she would be louder. So at that point, I'm like, right, I am done. I am done with all of this. No. So I'm just like, right, hoover off, over, door, slam. Like, I am about 80% sure I broke that door. But I was just like, no, I am done. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, get out of my house. I have had enough. No. So, yeah, after that, I think we maybe exchanged like 3 words to each other by that point, and then she left, and I was just like, no. But even the day she left, I was very much like, what the hell? Because obviously she'd been coming home really drunk at weird times of day, and her mum came to help her move, and her mum came in. Like, I don't even think she was in. It was her mum that moved all her stuff. I can't remember where she was. I honestly can't remember. I think she was just, by this point, she was like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm not even going to move my stuff. I'm just going to leave and tell my mom to go pick up all my stuff. Because I was also, like, she knew if she came in that house, I was just going to scream at her. So, by this point, her mom comes in and just walks into her room, walks out, and is like, Gillian, I am so sorry. I am so sorry you've had to deal with all this. And when she said that to me, I was just like, what do you mean? Because I haven't told you what I've had to deal with. So, what? And then I was just like, okay, you were so eager to get her to move in here. Was she doing all this stuff at yours? Like, what? So, she got all her stuff left, came through, took all my cleaning products out of the cupboard and was like, I need to use these. I am so sorry. And I'm like, what is going on? And I went through and I was just like, what's going on? She's like, oh, like, cut. Sorry, I had to cut there. Emma. I said the wrong name. Emma has obviously thrown up in her bed a few times because she's been so drunk. She's ruined the mattress. Like, this was a brand new mattress for her. And it was just, like, orange stains everywhere. Like, puke stains. And I was like, okay, cool, you clean that. But yeah, that had to be replaced. So, yes, that was my fun time with Emma, and she moved out, and I was like, oh no, she's gone, what a shame. And it must have been about, I want to say like 2 weeks after she moved out, Alistair came through and he's like, Jill, I need to speak to you. And I'm like, why? Like, what's going on? And he's like, no, I need to speak to you about Emma. And I was like, no, why? Like, what's she done? No, she's gone. Go away. Like, she doesn't live here anymore. We don't want her back. And he's like, no, I need to speak to you about her. I'm like, oh God, what could this possibly be? Time for some wine. Oh. So this is where it all starts to make sense. And yes, this is one of the main reasons I would probably not recommend going on Gumtree or Craigslist to find any roommates. So he's like, oh, Emma, did you not notice that she only worked like 2-3 shifts a week, but she could afford rent? And I was like, well, yeah, but I just assumed she was well paid. And he's like, no, like people who work there get paid like the standard £6 an hour or whatever. She could afford to work there because she had her own online enterprise. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Because there's me who's a bit naive about all this stuff and is, I don't know, I just have that cute little innocent face where I'm like, I don't know what that means. Please explain it. And he's like, no, you know how you kept saying to me you were getting really paranoid that she was like, that she kept like posting stuff on Fridays? And I'm like, yes, what was up with that? Like, I'm convinced she kept going to the post office on Fridays. He's like, no, she was selling her used underwear online because she was a cam girl. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, great. Like, I don't want to say I was living with a hooker because that's, people might take offense to that. Like, maybe there are people who sell their underwear online and who are cam girls and they're not hookers. However, this girl was, according to my best friend, who Emma had confided in him over their long drunken nights together, she had her own explicit channel. She was selling used underwear. And then she kept bringing strange boys she'd never met before back to the flat. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, there we go. So that was person 1 of my 3 nightmare roommates. And now we're going to go on to person 2. Because I think that's all I have to say about person 1, but I might just interject with a few more bits that I remember because I don't have it written down. I just have written down the fake names I need to call them. So now we're going to talk about Ryan. Now, this guy he was okay to live with. He was actually okay. He was a guy who I had so much time for. He was so chatty, he was so friendly. I remember the day he came to view the flat. He came round, I had the girls from college round. He came round, had a look around, was like, you know what, I love this place. I'm just going to sit and chat to you guys for, it was something stupid. It was like an hour. He sat and just chatted to us about, I don't know, girl stuff. He was honestly such a friendly guy and he was just lovely. And he did say, like, before he moved in, he's like, oh yeah, I have a Sky Sports subscription. Can I take it with me? And I'm like, by all means, like, whatever. I don't really care. Like, if you want to watch your Sky Sports, if you're paying for it, that's fine. But I'm not a sports person. I don't care. If you want to do it, I'm not paying for it. So he got that installed. He moved in. It was all good. And he was a policeman. So he worked really weird shifts. Like, he'd get up at stupid times in the morning, not come home till nighttime, or he'd leave at like 10 o'clock at night and not come home until like 7 a.m, stuff like that. So he was on shift work. Again, that's fine. I've got no problem with shift work at all. It's perfectly fine. But what he would do is he'd come home from shift work, he'd sit himself down in front of his Sky Sports, and that'll be him for like 3 days. So he would just veg out on the sofa. And we're like Alistair starts to get a bit uncomfortable because I can say this because he's like my best friend. He's not a sports guy. He's like a book guy. He'd be like, right, did you read this book? This, and let's spend 4 hours discussing this specific political conspiracy. And we're like, yes, great. Put on Goodfellas. We're doing this. Like, that's Alistair. So guy who was sitting in the house watching sports all day, he was like, what does this guy want? And but we had no problem with him. The only problem we had with him was it was a few months in, and so Alistair was a big fan of Domino's. He's a very specific person. He likes to learn how to make something and then that's what he cooks, or he knows his order and that's what he gets. So from Domino's, he'd always get his very specific thing, which I used to call a bolognese pizza, because it was just pretty much like beef and onions on a pizza, and it was like spaghetti bolognese without spaghetti. It was weird. So he used to get that, and he'd always get like 2, so you could have it in the fridge and then have it pretty much like every night that week. And he'd get his pizza, he'd eat it, he'd package it all up, put it in the fridge, and then get home from work the next day, go in, and there was nothing in the fridge. And we're both like, he's like, did you eat my bolognese pizza? And I'm like, of course I didn't. That's disgusting. Like, why would I eat that? And we were like, oh, it must be Ryan. He must be eating your pizza. And he's like, no, don't be stupid. Like, that guy's not just going to come steal our food. Like, what? So it was, we'd been there a while, and I started to notice food was running away. Like, it would be something stupid. Like, I'd go to Asda, and I'd get, like, a freezer pizza, put it in the freezer, and then a few weeks later, I'd be like, oh, you know what? I really fancy that pizza. Go in, take it out the freezer, and it was an empty box. Like, it wouldn't just be like, oh, it's not in the freezer anymore. It was an empty box of what was in the freezer, which was the most annoying thing, because every time I'd look in the freezer, I'd be like, right, I have 2 pizzas and all of this, when actually in reality I had no pizzas and half of that, because they were all just boxes. So that really got on my nerves because he was very much a gym guy. He was like, right, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do my shifts, go to the gym, and just do that constantly and drink protein shakes. So he'd never actually buy his own food. The only time he'd buy his own food is when he bought broccoli in mass quantities and then steamed it and ate that for a week, which would just mean the house stunk. It was disgusting. But I've been like, if you want to eat broccoli, that's fine. Like, no problem with that. Just don't eat my food too. And it was just things like that. Like, I remember there was one specific day where I went to Asda, bought the biggest jar of Nutella I could find because I hadn't had it in so long, brought it home, was so happy with it, and Alistair made fun of me for like an hour about it. He's like, oh no, you're such a white girl with your Nutella and your Ugg boots and your Starbucks Frappuccinos or something. I don't know. He went on a bit of a rant, and I was just like, haha, yep, but I like it, so shut up. And I put this Nutella in the cupboard, and I was like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm just going to have Nutella and toast, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to have it for lunch. And Alistair's like, haha, white girl, and all that. So I was just like, okay, whatever. Next day, like, I'm not even joking, literally next day, went into the kitchen, took my Nutella out, my jar is empty. It's in the cupboard, and it's completely empty, and I'm like, what is this? Like, what? So yeah, that was my moment, but it wasn't my biggest moment. My biggest moment was me and Nick went down to London. We went to, I want to say Whittards. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And we got a really fancy peanut butter hot chocolate. Like, you know, one of those things you pay like £8 for a small tub just to make like 3 peanut butter hot chocolates out of, and you're so excited about it. We brought that back, and I was like, yes, I'm so excited. Put it in the cupboard. A few days later, Nick's like, oh, we should try that. Went to the cupboard, picked it up, and literally almost like threw it through the roof. You know, when you pick something up and it's lighter than you expect it to be and you pretty much throw it. That's what I did with it. But Ryan was in the room when I did that, and I picked it up, realised it was empty, and I threw it full force against the back door because I was that mad. That's when my sticky notes happened. I think it was by this point he'd already said like he was moving or something. So I just started leaving passive-aggressive sticky notes everywhere. So the moral of the story is probably not my 3 nightmare roommates. It's probably just like these people would always have the story of my nightmare landlord. But, you know, it's fine. So I was just leaving like passive-aggressive sticky notes here. Like, clean up your stuff, replace this that you've eaten or drank or whatever, and like leaving empty cartons of stuff around the place with sticky notes being like, please replace me. Stuff like that. And he'd also use like all the blender stuff and all the NutriBullet stuff and leave like protein shakes in it and just like leave it lying around, and I'm like, okay, well that's all mine and you've filled it with milk that's 2 weeks old and just left it lying around. Like, I'm not cleaning that. Like, I don't drink milk. Milk is something that to me is just gross. Like, I'm very lactose intolerant. I'm not a milk person, so I ain't dealing with your 2-week-old milk. No. So I think there was one day where I just dumped like 3 bin bags worth of rubbish he'd left lying around the flat in his room and just put sticky notes on his door being like, do this, do that, clean this, clean that, and replace all these. And then he was like, oh no, I'm moving out. And I'm like, oh no, what a shame, bye. So, this is another one that just gets really intense really quickly. So, he said he was moving out on, let's say, I think it was the Saturday. He was like, right, Saturday afternoon, I'm moving out. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. So we'd organize like movers to come move his stuff, things like that. And I went out on the Friday. So I went out with some of my friends and I was sitting in a bar on Friday night and I got a text about 11:30. And it was from Ryan. And it just said something along the lines of like, hey, just to let you know, I'm leaving now. I've posted my key through the door. And I was like, what? Like, you're meant to be leaving tomorrow. All the movers are coming tomorrow. You're not working. You've got it all off. So why are you leaving tonight? So but you know, by this point it was like 11:30 at night, and I think I'd had a few beers and I was just kind of like, oh, Nick, Ryan's left. And he was like, oh, cool. And both of us were just like, yeah, let's not think anything of it, whatever. So went home, went to bed, and woke up in the morning to Alistair having a fit. He was standing in the hallway screaming, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I come out and I'm like, right, what's wrong? And he's like, oh, Ryan left last night. And I was like, yeah, he did. And he's like, right, like, have you like seen his room? Have you like seen the place? Like, what's going on? And I was like, no, I just went to bed. He's like, no, go look at his room. So I went in and it just looked normal. And I was like, all right, whatever. And he's like, no, like, look at his room. So I went in, all round his windowsill. Now, bear in mind, we all live in the same flat, so all of our rooms are the same. Round his windowsill was like it must have been about like 6 inches back of just like black mold. And I was like, wait, what? And we're going around it and we're like, how can his room be this moldy? Like, what? But he had, when he moved in, insisted on taking a tumble dryer into his room, to which I was kind of like, yeah, whatever, you know, I assume you'll take care of this by opening windows and stuff. And I did have what are they called, dehumidifiers in the place. So I had said to him several times, like, I'd go up to him and be like, hey, like, I'm replacing all the dehumidifiers, need a new one. He'd be like, no, I just replaced mine. So I was just always like, cool, you're a grown up, you're what, like 7 years older than us, like you know what you're doing, cool, and just trusted him. And we went in and we were both like, oh my lord, what? So round his window was just like 6 inches deep of black mold. Not like 6 inches like out from the window, like 6 inches like across the window. So ready, we're like, oh, that's disgusting, he's ruined the window, how nice, we're gonna have to repaint this section. And then Alistair's like, no, like, actually, look at his room. And we're like, oh, great. So I looked at all of the units in his room, which were all of my units, which were covered in mold. As in, like, biohazard mold. Like, how he hadn't got really ill living there is just as... Ugh, I don't know. Like, how? I don't know, like, he must have been ill, or he's, like, you couldn't have not noticed this. Like, you couldn't have actually gone in and then, like, I couldn't have lived there for more than 2 days without noticing this. Like, it's just disgusting. Like, if you touched a handle on a unit, like, it was moldy and would, like, leave your hand yellow. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, if he's opening the drawers to put his clothes in and stuff, like, he'd have known it was moldy. So we're under the bed and everything, and it's so moldy. The floor's moldy. The mattress, we had to get rid of the mattress again because it was moldy. Like, everything. We had to take that entire room right to the skip and just bin everything in it. Like, we hired a van. Like, that's how bad it was. We hired a van, we had to pull up the flooring, we had to get new floors installed, repaint the room, bin every single thing that was in it. And it was just like, seriously? And of course, but this is the thing, like, Ryan was a policeman. So I texted him, I sent him a message being like, oh, hey, so just wondering, did you know about all of this in your room? And as soon as I sent that to him, like, I got blocked on everything. Like, he unfriended me on Facebook, he blocked me on Facebook, he blocked my phone number, all of this. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, you're a policeman. Like, you're meant to be the law, and you're just, like, what? So, I sent all these pictures to my granddad, who'd been in and out of the flat the whole time that he was there. So, like, he was quite friendly with him because, like, he was there at weird times and stuff. So they sit and just have, like, hour-long conversations on the sofa. And for some reason, he had his phone number. I'm not too sure why. But, probably because they chatted so much. But, I sent these pictures to my granddad and I was like, you'll never guess what. Ryan's just moved in. This is what he's left me with. Like, what do I do? And next time I saw him, he was like, oh, so Ryan's blocked me on Facebook and blocked me on text. I'm like, why? He's like, oh, because I sent him all these pictures and told him how rude and inappropriate he was. And I'm like, oh, Grandad, I love you so much. But yes, so that's what he did. I've still not heard from him, but you know, whatever, great. I kept his deposit, so there we go, I guess. Yeah, so that's also why you should not even trust, like, the people who are high up in law enforcement, I guess. No? So my third nightmare roommate, I'm gonna use her real name here and you'll understand why. So after all this, the place was empty for maybe about like 8 months or something, and then I met this girl online. She was called Amber, and honestly, she was fantastic. I love Amber. She's so lovely. I got along so well with her. And like, her and her sister, they're both just fantastic people, and I have so much time for them. They're just amazing. But my third nightmare roommate is not Amber. Amber came to me and was like, oh, I love this flat. I'd really like to move in. Can I bring my cat? Now, if you know me, you will know how much I love cats. I am the biggest cat fan in the world. I love cats to pieces. However, this cat is not a cat. I'm sorry, Amber. Your cat's a demon. Yes, so Amber brought a cat with her called Leo. Now, Leo was so cute. Leo used to lie on my bed and he used to cuddle me and I used to be like, oh, baby. But Leo had a dark side. So the first day that Leo moved in, and Amber moved in, of course, too, Amber turns around to me and she's like, okay, so I'm going to go out for dinner with my parents. I'll see you later. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll stay with Leo. And he started rubbing on my leg. And she was like, no, don't let him do that. And I was like, oh, but he's rubbing on my leg. It means he likes me. She's like, no, don't let him do that. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, cool, whatever. So she goes out and me and Alistair are in the house. And he's not the biggest cat fan. Like, I must say, like, I brought a cat into the flat and he was just like, Jill, I hate you. Like, go away. So we're alone with this cat and I'm standing in the hallway and Leo comes up to me and rubs on my leg and I was like, oh, baby, are we friends? And then, I'm not even joking, he took about 2 steps back, stared me right in the face and just went, meh, and charged at me and started headbutting off my leg. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's going on? So I ran and hid in the bathroom and started like shouting for Alistair, who's in the kitchen. I'm like, Alistair, come on, come here, help. And he comes running through to the hall. He's like, Jill, what's going on? I'm like, the cat's trying to kill me. And for me to say that, he's obviously like, wait, what? You love cats? What's going on? He's like, so all I hear is him go, Jill, don't be stupid. And then just this scream going, meow. And then he's like, ah, and just runs away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like the cat's got him too. So because obviously he's baited the cat with himself, the cat's left. So I come out the bathroom and I'm like, Alistair, what's wrong? He's like, the cat just charged at me and started headbutting me. And I'm like, yep, that's what he did to me. Like, what's going on? So me and him are both like, okay, no, like there's something weird here. But I must say, Leo was so cute. So we're sitting in the living room and we're like, right, we'll just let him sniff around us, get used to us. He's probably just like in a new place, new people, a bit scared. So we're sitting there, we put a movie on, have dinner. And I think he's sitting in the corner staring at us, like really evil stares the whole time. And then as soon as either of us stood up, he'd do the same. Meow and run and headbutt us. And we're like, oh no, go away. So Amber finally comes home and we're like, Amber, like, this is what Leo did. And me expecting to hear like, oh no, like he's scared, he's in a new place. She's just like, oh yeah, that's what he does. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. So we're like, all right, cool. But he was an outdoor cat, so if he'd do that, we'd put him aside. It was fine. So a few weeks in, I'm used to living with this cat, which I can't walk around. So, which is weird for me because I'm used to just seeing a cat and just grabbing them and cuddling them because I'm a bit creepy. I'm the crazy cat person that steals the neighborhood cats. So a few weeks in and I start to notice he's getting really upset outside. It's like I'm waking up in the morning and I'm going to as soon as I open my bedroom door, all I hear from the back of the house is meow, meow, meow. And it's him screaming at the back door because he wants in. So that's annoying Alistair because his room's on the back of the house and it's annoying the upstairs neighbours as well who... Yeah, like, I don't want to annoy people in the street because there's a cat screaming because they're not in the house. So I'd let him in. As soon as I'd let him in, he'd just be like, meh. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, no. So I'd avoid him. But he'd do this thing where he pretended we were friends. So I worked from home. So he'd come and he'd sit next to me and I'd be like, oh, we're friends, that's nice. He'd come and he'd sit at my feet and I'd be like, oh, this is really cute. And he would sit there so well behaved for about half an hour. And then he would just suddenly turn around out of the blue and just go, meow, and just bite my feet, or bite my arm, or bite my leg or something. And I'm just like, so because, cat, scary cat. I don't know how to deal with scary cats. So yes, he was my third nightmare roommate. There was one morning I got up because I heard Alistair screaming in the hallway. And I was just like, what's going on? And because I just heard him screaming, the cat screaming, not like the cat screaming, but the cat meowing and him opening his door and being like, shut up, cat, and trying to make his way to the bathroom. And I think the cat maybe like attacked him or something when he was in the bathroom because I just heard like, ah! And I was like, all right, okay. So me got out of bed, put my dressing gown on, and this was like a huge mistake. I'd literally just jumped out of bed barefoot, opened the door, like, what was going on? Took one step out into the hall and he got me. He came up and he took my foot and he bit it and he put his paw under it and scratched it. So on my left foot, I then had 2 giant holes in the top of my foot, 2 giant holes in the bottom, and a scratch mark along the bottom. Because he just decided I came out of my room and I must have been a threat or something, I don't know, but he tore my foot apart. So I had to go down to the doctor's and get some medicine for this because, like, a cat's bitten through my foot. What? But me being a cat lady is still just like, it's fine, it's a cat, I love them anyway. At which point Alistair's getting really annoyed and Nick's getting really annoyed as well because he's just like, you can't walk, what's going on? So, yes, that's about it with Leo. He did also decide to fight the neighbourhood cats in the back garden, which the neighbours got really annoyed with because all you would hear is cats screaming at the top of their voice, and then almost like a Tasmanian devil whirl of cat fur, like a tornado of cat fur as they battled each other for... I'm not really sure what reason, but yes. Amber did move out because she did say to me at one point, she's like, oh, I really want to get a dog, and me looking at her cat was just like, no, you can't bring anything bigger than that into this house. So she did move out. We did leave on good terms. Amber is a lovely girl, and honestly, I don't want to say I like Leo because, like, I mean, I like any cat. Leo's a cat, so I like him, but he is a violent cat, and he was a nightmare to live with, in that, not like the other two, not like Emma and Ryan, where you'd be like, okay, this person's weird and something's going on, but in which you'd hesitate to open your door in case you got attacked in the hallway. But yes, so those are the 3 people I ever rented my spare room out to. While I did make some good passive income from renting to them, I did also have a few situations which were maybe both out of my control and a little bit weird, and it was definitely a life experience, and I can honestly say I probably wouldn't do it again, because I don't know if it's worth it. It's like, okay, yeah, they might be paying like, what, £400-500 a month, but over a month, that's maybe like £100 a week, and for a week of hell, £100 doesn't cover it. Like, £100 for a day of hell wouldn't really cover it. So I don't know. I would just say, if you're planning on renting out your property or your room or anything to someone you don't know, get some references. So I did, by the time I had Amber move in, I did say to her, I was like, right, I need references. Like, I can't do this without references. I've had some experiences. She gave me references. They were all lovely. And to be fair, they were all completely true. They just didn't mention the cat. The demon cat. That's what we refer to him as. Demon cat. I think he maybe has some issues. He might need a bit of therapy. I'm not too sure. But he was cute, so I liked him anyway. But yes, Amber, I loved. Emma and Ryan, no. Ryan, when he was here, I liked him. He was a very chatty guy. We used to stand, and he used to be someone I would honestly try and avoid if I had places to be, because I know if I bumped into him in the hall, I'd be there for 45 minutes minimum. Like, there'd be times we'd have 3-hour conversations in my hall, because he'd be like, what have you been doing? Here's what I've been doing, blah, 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 blah. Which, not a problem with, lovely. It was just more when he moved out that I was just like, are you kidding me? Emma was just a bit dodgy overall. To be fair, I'm very, very glad I did not know what was going on while she was living here, because otherwise, there'd have been bigger problems, because I'm not very much one for just being like, oh, you're doing that? Okay, cool. No, I'm more for one being like, you're doing what under my roof? Okay, no. But yes. So, yes, I think to sum it up, I would say I've definitely grown as a person from renting out my flat. It's maybe not something I'd do again. It's definitely the number one recommended way to get some passive income is have a rental property or rent out your existing property. However, just be careful to who you're renting to. If you're going to be living with them, really be careful of it. If I was renting out a property and Emma or Amber had it, that would be fine, because they'd have stayed in it, they'd have done their own thing, they'd have done their explicit pornography, or they'd have done their demon catting by themselves, and that's perfectly fine because it wouldn't have involved me, and they'd have left the place in a reasonable state. Okay, there might have been some drunken vomit on the mattresses, but, you know, if you'd stayed there for a year and you'd been paying rent for the year, then I can replace the mattress, that's fine. Ryan, on the other hand, left the place in a mess. He was a delight to live with, left and caused so much more damage than he'd paid for with a deposit or anything like that. So just look at who you're renting to and just be careful. I mean, if you've got someone who's going to bring strangers into the house every weekend, that's just dangerous. Like, that's actually dangerous. I mean, like, I don't want to know what... I mean, I'm not going to play the whole card of, you know, oh no, I was in so much danger, because, to be fair, at no point was I particularly in danger, because she always used to know when I was out, so she'd take them round. But say Alistair hadn't lived there and it's just me and her, and then she's taking 2 strange big men into the house. Like, who knows what could have happened? I'm not saying that would have happened, because that's crazy. But, you know, like, it's possible. It's possible. Like, she's putting both me and her and all of my belongings in danger because she's bringing 2 strangers into the house. I don't know. No, her I was not a fan of. But yes, hopefully this just educates you a little bit more as to what you should be looking for in a potential tenant. And this is just kind of a bit of a nightmare story. But on the positive, I did also rent a spare room out to my best friend, who, honestly, he made most of my meals for me. He made sure the place was clean, and he was always down for wine and movies. So watch who you're renting it out to. It can be excellent. Like, renting a room out to Alistair was one of the greatest experiences, and I don't think I will ever find a roommate like him again. Not that I'm looking for another roommate, but he was honestly perfect. Just quiet, but always there if you wanted him, clean, and good in the kitchen. And then you have these other people who it's like, oh no, I feel like if I didn't have Alistair, I'd have gone crazy and just like decided, no, I live here by myself and no one's even allowed to visit, because that's kind of where I was getting to. But yes, I hope this has been helpful, and if it's not been helpful, I at least hope it's been entertaining in some kind of way. But yes, that's my story. That's why I do not rent out my room anymore. That is yep, that is the full shebang on what happened there. At least off the top of my head, what I can remember. I'm sure there were a few other weird bits that happened and I just haven't listed them. But yes, I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope I don't have to make another one of these videos. But yes, I will see you later. Bye!